was a bank-owned foreclosure. Well, the bank declines us for the loan. They didn't because it has no running water. The place is a dump. Like, there's bread on the counter that has been molding for maybe 6 months. So the bank said, no, we're not going to do it.
If you've ever been turned down from something you really wanted, a dream, a job, or an opportunity, then I want you to watch this episode all the way through. Most people hear no and walk away. Adam didn't. In this episode, he'll show you how a clear why turns rejection into momentum. Let's dive in. Welcome to this episode's Best Path Forward. Today, I'm joined by Adam. Adam, welcome to the podcast.
I'm excited to be here, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity to take my kind of pop my cherry here for the podcast. This is my first time ever being on one.
This is your first time being on the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Since COVID, it's kind of changed my kind of career of going out into the field, seeing people in person, and now working in my basement for 10 straight hours. So it's a little bit of an adjustment of actually getting to interact with people face to face. So it's nice for a change.
So you're working in your basement?
Absolutely.
It's your basement. Do you live like what, your mom in her basement, or is it your personal basement?
No. It's my wife and I. So we have a house down here in downtown Columbus, Old Town East here, just not too far away from you actually. And it's a house that we moved back in together back the month of COVID. So March of 2020 when the world kind of shut down. Moved in, had no office furniture. I can remember working at my job in a lawn chair because we couldn't go to the furniture place to buy something. You know, you move into a new house, new furniture, and it wasn't exactly how it went to plan, but it got the job done. And then kind of repurposed a bedroom down in the basement to my office, and called the dungeon.
The dungeon?
Yep.
All right, so I'm thinking dungeon, and are there like chains on the wall? Like, so what do you decorate your dungeon with? So many questions here. So many questions. Like, so how do you decorate the dungeon?
Honestly, I keep it pretty simple. It's pretty plain white walls.
It's a very boring dungeon to start.
It is. It's I just need my 3 monitors. So being on vacation last week, just working on a single laptop screen is a little bit not as efficient, I feel like. But so it was nice being back here this week with my monitors on both sides of the laptop and so on. But it's just a simple old desk. I'm simple. I'm basic.
So you're not basic. 1, 2. I can't keep track of 3 monitors in my head. Like, I see people that have that all the time, and I have like my laptop screen up and then like 1 monitor because I don't know what to put on the other 2 monitors if I have them. So like, how do you manage 3 different screens?
Well, so how I always do it is I have my Microsoft Teams because it's a crime nowadays if you don't get back to an internal message within like 2 minutes. And then the main screen is it's my email. And then my other screen is my calendar for the day. So everything that needs to be done or meetings that are upcoming too. And then I kind of just use, hey, I'm doing an email right here. I'm reading it, but then I need to go into this particular web or wherever that may be. It's just kind of definitely using the 3 screens all day.
So you said something interesting there about like the immediate need to respond. And I think that has been like a big shift because at my job, we use Slack, people use Microsoft Teams. And it's like you see a message, it's like, oh, I have to respond right now. What happens if you don't respond immediately?
It's just like, wow, that guy's taking a day off. What's going on? It's just different expectations. So before, COVID, I'd be traveling 5 hours in a car because it was quicker to drive from Columbus to Detroit rather than, maybe fly and this and that. And then once you fly to Detroit, you have to get to your meeting. So it was just easier to drive. But during that 5 hours of driving, like I wasn't available to quickly respond back. It was maybe the night of back in the hotel, you were getting back to all your messages. Now it's just like they're emailing me, they're Microsoft Teams messaging me. It's like
double messaging?
Yeah. So it's just it's a little bit of a different expectation, and then obviously want to meet the needs of the clients, get back to them as soon as possible because obviously I'm in the moment of whatever they're doing. So they email me and I want to get back to them to kind of be a little bit more efficient to give that kind of customer service.
I think that's important too, like based on your industry, like you have to kind of cater to the needs of the client and kind of be on call 24/7. So kind of understanding that and knowing that you need these 3 monitors up and like you work in the dungeon that has white walls. So I guess it's like a pleasant dungeon. You probably have a nice chair in there too, don't you?
I can remember it. So again, I keep it pretty basic. So I was working in that lawn chair that has, you take to a ball game and you got your little cup right here and you got your lounge and it's like one of those collapsible fold up ones. And I was like to my wife, I was like, you need to go to your office and get me an office chair because actually her company was in a transition of they were moving office locations. Actually, they went to no office location during COVID. So all those office chairs in there were just no longer going to be there. They're going to be thrown away. I was like, go in there and get me a chair. I need to work in something better. And that's still the chair that I use here today, 5 years later.
All right, so it sounds like your wife stole a chair from the office, but they're going to throw it away anyway. And,
Yeah,
and
I was repurposing.
repurposing. And Adam obviously waited until the chair was in the dumpster before his wife took it from the dumpster pile.
I saw where it was going to be, and I didn't want to have that dog donated to the pound. Hey, we're going to repurpose it, give it a new home, and we gave that office chair a new home, and it's had a lot of entertainment.
I'm glad that you could repurpose the chair and you equated it to a dog going to the pound, and so that's very clever. Now that I'm thinking about that chair, and you're giving it all the love and attention all day long. Honestly, you did your duty there. I'm proud of you.
I try to give back to where it's needed, and this chair just needed a new home. And it's very excited to where it's at, and it has many years ahead of it.
Many years ahead of it. All right, so that's good. I'm gonna have to take the chair outside. And so you kind of sit in like the dungeon with this repurposed dog chair essentially, and you have to respond to what the clients kind of say. So I guess knowing that you had this high pressure situations like, oh, I have to respond immediately or else something could be wrong and I'm not going to catch it. Like, how do you go about processing that stress level, and like how do you kind of like offload it?
I just think it's when someone's reaching out to me at that point is like, they have the time, the opportunity, they have 20 things to do in a day and they realistically only have for 10. So somehow I made it into that agenda for the day to get back. So then they're thinking about me in the moment, and this might be the opportunity because they may get inundated with a particular huge case or this item or something personal or something work related. So it's giving them the appropriate information. So now they have everything they need in order to make that decision or to kind of make the next steps of the process. So I never want it to be coming back on me. I want it to be coming back on them at the end of the day of, hey, just servicing whatever that need may be.
So you don't even like categorize that like a stress at all, do you?
No, I would say I'm pretty relaxed about any situation. One of the things, I originally wasn't in sales. Sales is the career I do. I sell legal software. And I can remember I worked at a place called Sky Zone Indoor Trampoline Park out of college. It was the world's first indoor trampoline park here in Columbus, Ohio. And my best friend, he worked in sales, outside sales. And I said, hey, I never want to beg for people's business. I'm not going to beg for people's business. He had a buddy that worked there. We sat down in Panera. We had a different conversation. That led to me working at ADP, where it's helping other people get set up. Maybe they were in a manual process. Maybe they were in a bad situation. And just saying, hey, how can you make it a win for everyone? Basically, how can I help you? And ultimately, it does help me here at my job too. But it's just building those relationships and giving that kind of that small town customer assistance.
So what is ADP?
It's the payroll company.
Oh, okay.
The big
payroll. Yeah, we need payroll companies.
Yes.
I believe my current employment, I get paid through a payroll company. I'm not sure which one it is, but I know it's a payroll company, and I'll be very sad if they went away because I feel like I wouldn't get paid.
Correct.
Yeah, so
it's definitely a big issue when the checks aren't arriving. But then it's a conversation. Why are you getting a manual check? Why are we not on direct deposit too? Why are we not embracing that? But some people, they still get those checks. They want to go to the bank. They want to go into that routine of what they do, and that's not in their process, and they're not willing to do that. So we work around it.
Manual checks, like cutting a check.
Sometimes the business owner wants to personally sign them to see what the money's going out. You can easily do that in a report, but
here we are.
Yeah, you're working with different generations of business owners. You have things that people have done this for the last 25 years. This is the way it's going to be for the last 10 too.
So, I mean, do you go about trying to convince them that there's a better way or a different way, or do you just kind of like listen to their needs and respond accordingly?
It's a combination. It's reading the room, obviously. You never want to push someone into a corner and saying, this is what your option is. Timing is a huge thing. So when is that time they emailed you and something just happened and they're like, I'm over it. This is my breaking point. So then it's seizing that opportunity when that breaking point comes. But it depends on the person and their life, their work life, their personal life. And when that time is, maybe from a manual to something, if they're in a competitor, they already believe in something of that nature. Now, why are you better than the other competitor? And sometimes it just comes down to customer service too. The product can get you the answer. One product maybe gets you the answer in 5 seconds. Another one could do 5 minutes, but it still gets you the answer. It's just then, hey, are you there when I need you?
Yeah. So Adam, I got to ask you, how did you get so good with people?
I think a lot of it comes back to my parents, just how I was raised. From a small town in Northwest Ohio, my parents ran their own business. It was a plumbing business. So I give a lot of credit to them just being raised of how I was and their values, their morals, and what was important to them. And customer service is definitely one of those things. I do a little bit of real estate business here today, and I'll say, hey, Dad, I just got a water heater changed. How much would you charge for that back in the day? He's retired now, so he's no longer in the industry. I try not to lean on him too much. And I'll be like, it was $7.45. And he's like, oh my gosh, we weren't charging enough. And it's like, yeah, you weren't charging enough, but also you're not in Columbus, you're in a small town, different kind of price range for folks too. But just going back to that, you know, he would never overcharge a client. And that goes back to his dad. So my grandpa, I can remember them talking about that too. It's just treating a customer how they want to be treated too.
I think that's a fantastic answer. And you mentioned that you're from a small town in Ohio. What town are you from?
It's called Spencerville, Ohio. I never tell anyone Spencerville, Ohio. I say I'm from Lima, Ohio, because you're lucky if you heard of Lima, Ohio. So then I'm like, hey, it's in the between Toledo and Dayton on I-75 Lima. Oh, okay, yeah, I've driven through there. Okay, now I'm like 15 minutes away. It's like a burr, but you just go through cornfields to get to my town. One stoplight. You're not missing much.
Not missing much. It's funny you say that because people outside of Ohio, like I'm from Florida. I'm not sure if you knew that. I'm a Florida guy. And when I heard about Ohio, I heard about Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. Then you get here, and it wasn't until I went to law school that I found out there was a Miami of Ohio. I was in law school. People were like, oh, I went to Miami. I'm like, why did so many people go to University of Miami? And how did they end up in Columbus, Ohio for law school? Then I realized there's Oxford, Ohio with Miami University. And so now I just added another one of Ohio's 88 counties and many more cities, or many less. I don't know. I'm not a statistician. But another city in Ohio, Spencerville.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's small town USA, Northwest Ohio. It's farm town communities. My mom actually grew up on a farm back there too, so it's got a lot of strong hometown roots. And I read a stat in a book one time as I think it's 60% of people live within 20 miles of where they grew up.
Oh, wow.
So you just saw a lot of generations. It was met their needs of what they needed and how they wanted to raise their family. And I kind of went a little bit the opposite. I went from small town USA to Columbus, Ohio, the 14th largest city in the U.S., I believe.
Let's go.
But love it here in Columbus. And now I've actually turned 36 this summer. So I spent 18 years in the town I grew up. And now I've spent a little bit over 18 years here in Columbus. Columbus is kind of like my new hometown in a way.
So what brought you to Columbus from Spencerville?
I have an older brother and sister. So my sister is 9 years older than me. My brother's 13 years older than me. Obviously, a little bit of challenges growing up with them going off to college, doing their own thing, getting married, having kids. So when you look at it here at the end of the day, my sister actually graduated when she was 17 from high school. So you're looking at an 8-year-old kid that was rowing the house as an only child, but I still had the benefits of having an older brother, an older sister. They were back from college at times or certain events that were going on in life, but you know they had moved on with their next step in their career and their development along the way. So I had kind of the best of both worlds in regards to, hey, I still had a brother and a sister, but I was also kind of an only child at points too.
So I got to ask, did they move out of Spencerville as well?
They moved out of Spencerville. I guess that would kind of finish up the question. My brother lived up in Powell, and then my sister actually went to school in Wilmington, Ohio, near Xenia, and then she then kind of transitioned her career after she graduated here to Columbus. So now I had my brother, I had my sister, and then I had them saying, hey, we want you to kind of come up here around us and just kind of be in the area because we would get to spend more time versus going anywhere else that I was looking at. You know, it would have been more difficult to fit that in the agenda for everyone to spend some time with each other. So they were strong advocates, and then my mom was also a strong advocate with them on that side, and it kind of just one thing led to another, and I ended up at Otterbein University, and then never left Columbus after Otterbein.
That is fantastic. And your poor parents, you guys all abandoned them to come to the big city, left them in Spencerville, Ohio. How dare you guys do that?
They actually, in 2018, after they took care of my grandparents, they then built a house down here in Dublin, so they now live in Columbus, and they're snowbirds, so then they go to Florida during the winter.
Oh, what part of Florida?
Cape Coral or Fort Myers area.
Fort Myers, nice. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Yep.
Which is pretty much southern Georgia. But,
I call it the Young Coast over there.
The Young Coast?
Yeah, my parents are on the Old Coast.
Oh, man.
That's their pace.
Hey, as long as they like it, and they get to avoid the snow.
Absolutely.
Which is huge. So I got to ask a question I ask everyone. What's your story?
I kind of articulate the story as like, hey, I'm a kid from small town USA, Northwest Ohio. You probably never heard of the town. We went into that. And then I look at my story in college, and I can remember my mom. We were just on a family vacation last week, and she said, Adam, you were really lucky with every opportunity. And it kind of look back at the opportunities and you can be like, hey, I would have never met my wife if I did this. Or, hey, I would have never met you as a friend. Or, hey, Dan, I would have never ran into you if I just did something else different in my career. So it's kind of like, you know, kind of in a way, it's kind of like emotional at times of being like, man, how could my life look so dramatically different at the end of the day for this one decision, this and that. But went to Otterbein and I did a dual degree, graduated in 3.5 years with sports management and business as my major. Ended up during that time, I worked for the Columbus Clippers in their clubhouse. I can remember sleeping at that ballpark night after night. I was working sometimes 18 hours, 20 hours in a day. You were sleeping there at the ballpark. First person there is the baseball players. Last person to leave is the baseball players. And then that transition into is like, hey, I love sports, but I want the business side. So then I went to Sky Zone, did a little bit in Sky Zone. And then that's where, hey, my buddy that I went to college with, played baseball with at Otterbein, talked me into going to ADP. ADP is where I actually met my wife at work then too. Not because of that, but then eventually my buddy that talked me into going to ADP talked me to coming into Thomson Reuters, went over to Thomson Reuters, and that's where I sit here almost 6 years later. So it's just kind of navigating how one door opens, another door closes, and kind of those different chapters. But it's been a unique ride. I wouldn't say, hey, I had a goal to do this, this, and this, but it's kind of one of those things of, you know, take action and see where it takes you.
I think that's incredible that you kind of saw your opportunity at Sky Zone. You still wanted more. So I guess what drove you to want to have a more business-focused mindset and kind of transitioned you to ADP?
I would say you only know what you know here at the end of the day. And I can remember working at the Clippers, small town kid from Northwest Ohio. My mom would always cook. She grew up on a farm. She would always cook. My buddies would go over to Lima, go to the B-dubs. I'm like, my mom already cooked everything that I wanted. Like, I'm good to go. She makes it. It's served. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go out to eat much. And then the guy at Clippers I work with, he's like, you're so in a bubble, Adam. Like, you don't even know what Chipotle is. You don't eat Chipotle. I'm like, hey, man, I just eat in all the time. My mom cooked, and here's a couple things I do since I moved out. So it was kind of like, hey, I only knew what I knew with kind of just everything in the world, and one thing led to another. And I think kind of what changed it is a date that I submitted to you. It's not the date that you selected, but what that date is,
Sorry.
You're good. I went to school in Australia, so I went 3 months across the complete world. My mom actually told me no the first time I said that, like, hey, here's what I want to do. I'm going to go to Australia. All my classes would transfer. Here's the classes I would take. Here's how it would line up. It only costs like this much more, so it's like kind of a break even. I think it would be a cool experience. Kind of like taught you to grow up. There's no one there to like save you at the end of the day. You're like a 24-hour plane ride across the world from someone getting to you. Like, you're on your own, and it was just like how big the world is at the end of the day. Like, Australia is so big, a different way of life. You just saw it different. And when applying to grad schools, my brother-in-law actually told me, he's like, just talk about the diversity that you never had in life. You were never exposed to different cultures. You were never exposed to anything like different. This is kind of the mold, you know, the people you hang out. So I just never saw it from a different lens. And that lens is like, wow, this world is so big and kind of make whatever you want out of it. It's just your drive, but no one's going to hand it to you. You got to go out there and get it.
Why can't people just hand it to us?
Everyone wants it handed to them at the end of the day. If it's that easy, everyone would be doing it. Everyone's looking for that secret shortcut to whatever that may be. But kind of how I was taught and raised, there's no shortcuts. Like, you put in the work and you'll get what you put in.
I love how you said you recap most of your life story when I asked the question, what's my life story? And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, by the way, I went to school in Australia. That did not come up in your initial disclosures, good sir. So what grade were you? Because if you're asking around for permission, were you in high school, early parts of college? Where were you in life at this point?
So I just finished up my sophomore year, but I worked at the Clippers. So the Clippers kind of started, you know, anywhere from January, not as much full time, but then the season kicks off really in March. So full time with school and Clippers. I can remember my routine is it'd be 2 hours of sleep maybe some nights, because I'd be working, going to school, not missing a class, and just doing that routine. It was hard to then do anything in regards to outside of that routine. But I got in a little bit of trouble from having a dorm party at my university. And I was like, well, man, this would be the perfect time because I'm actually a little bit on not probation, but a little bit of probation. spending, 4 or 5 months in Australia, like that knocks out half my time right there. So kind of killed two birds with one stone. Went over to Australia then to also fill, but a lot of it was for many other reasons, but things just started to fall into line too.
So let me get this straight. It sounds like you were at least like on a full school year of probation. And you're like, I'm going to spend half the school year in Australia.
First 2 years out of Outerbond, you had to live in the dorms. You had to live in the dorms. There's no option unless you said, hey, you lived within 20 miles of campus. So I lived in the dorms as a sophomore, and you're starting to grow. You're starting to meet more friends. Well, then, a dorm party that was supposed to be just 5 people turns into, 15, and then, hey, it's my dorm, so I'm in trouble in regards to it because, Westerville was the only dry city in Ohio still at that time.
Oh, wow.
So then you had those kind of strict rules of a small school. And then my roommate and I at that time had to get separated. And then that junior year is where you live on your own. Well, the beginning of my junior year is then when I went to Australia. And then halfway through my senior year, I graduated in December and then started that new adventure with Sky Zone.
Wait, so they broke up you and your roommate?
Yeah, they said you guys could no longer be together. So he had to actually leave the dorm because I technically wasn't at the dorm of when the party.
You weren't at your own dorm party?
I was. I just kind of slivered out of there. So
you knew it was getting out of control and you just left.
Well, yeah, they were like, oh, you guys are in trouble. So I'm like, oh, I'm kind of peaceful.
You guys are in trouble. I was never here.
Yep.
That is wild. So I guess what was the biggest lesson you learned in Australia? You mentioned that home is like 24 hours away. Like what's one of the biggest takeaways you had except for it's a great place to spend probation?
I can remember, so the school I actually went to, The Great Gatsby was filmed there. The movie that just came out, 10 years ago. I guess I went to school there.
It just came out 10 years ago.
10 years ago, that movie, not the movie from, way back when.
Yeah.
But it was like this castle up on the mountain, at the end of a peninsula here in Australia along the coast. And you're walking up and there was just a local. He's like, you Americans just work too damn hard. You don't take life and embrace it. And it's like, you are right, but there's so much to shoot for. So how do you find that healthy balance of, hey, what makes you tick? Are you still achieving your goals? You're not throwing the day away. And it's just always trying to find that healthy balance. But I mean, that's a conversation that was just a small interaction from a random guy that I still remember to this day is like, hey, any day it could be taken here from us. You're lucky for what you have in the situation you are. So live it to the fullest, but don't take it for granted either.
So I got to ask, because you have your white wall dungeon and then the office dog chair that you have currently. And then also you mentioned at some points you were working so much for the Clippers that you were only sleeping maybe 4 hours a night. You're working 18-hour days. I don't do math. I guess that'd be 6 hours a night. Whew, look at me and my math skills. But you're working these long days and everything. So how do you find that balance between like knowing that it takes a grind mindset to kind of hit your goals and get to where you want to be in life, while at the same time realizing like, I gotta take time to enjoy what I've done so far and also just take time to just decompress.
There's no perfect answer. Everyone's situation is completely different. But to me, I believe you have to put the work in to get what you want out at the end of the day. And when does that make sense within your life? Maybe some people it isn't until later on or it was earlier before college. I played sports, football, basketball, baseball in high school. So that wasn't really an option to start that. Like that was my world back then was sports. And then in college is like, all right, sports is ending for me. Like I'm on the baseball team. I'm no all-star. I'm not going professional. Like what is that new sport to me? So then it's like, it's my career and how am I going to get there? And that's where nothing was teed up. I didn't have any special connections. So then it was just like, all right, I have to be the best in the room at whatever I do and what separates you, what's your strength. So, I told you a little bit earlier, my wife's like, you're not good on the spot. You're good at preparing and then articulating things after that point. And she's right. That's how I've gotten to the point I'm at, is that preparation of going into what it is. It's not what I do in the moment or the spot. So then it's just like kind of finding that balance of what works for you along the way.
So how do you prepare to take breaks?
That's one thing my eye doctor says. I need some visual breaks. That's something I'm still working on. I haven't incorporated it into my day. But then maybe I go up there, I browse the kitchen and see, hey, is there a snack? All right, let's go back down. There's a couple emails that just came in.
My gosh. But you kind of enjoy what you do and everything.
It's my new sport, It's the purpose of this job is to support my side business. I do real estate, so I have my own real estate portfolio, and I put my money towards that portfolio. That's kind of my exit strategy from corporate America whenever that point is. So that's my motivation, is kind of have that time whenever that time is, when it makes sense. But I enjoy helping out others and making it set up for what our family can have and enjoy trips or whatever, this and that.
Yeah, Adam, I want to tell you, when I first met you, I had no idea like this was like your backstory and everything, and that you're like an aspiring this like real estate mogul. So like, how did you get into that?
I can actually remember it. So right out of college, I lived with two of my buddies, two of my best friends. Both of them were my best man at my wedding. Andy Richardson, Mike Adolph, and we lived in Clintonville in a small single-family home. How I met my my realtor, Jeff Osborne, and I said, "Hey, I want to do exactly what you did with this house. We want something, and we want to, do something on my own." My dad had his own business, plumbing, so I like to think I'm a little bit handy. I enjoy a little bit of it too, and I can remember looking at this house, and it's a gut job, and it was right before I was leaving for Las Vegas for a guy's trip, and I was like, "Yeah, put the offer in, Jeff. Whatever you think makes sense, let's do it." He puts the offer in, and somehow we got selected. It was a bank-owned foreclosure within Clintonville, right above Graceland, where I work out every single day here today. And we go there, and he puts the offer in. He's like, "All right, we're selected." And I'm like, "Wow, we got this. Like, all right, this is real. This is great." We couldn't really see the basement. Remember, there was no power down there. There was no lights. You need to go back in there and kind of check it out. Well, the bank declines us for the loan.
Oh, no.
He's like, "Hey, yeah, they didn't because it has no running water."
Oh, that's fair.
No running water. The place is a dump. Like, the guy got evicted. All of his stuff's in there. There's bread on the counter that has been molding for maybe 6 months. Glass everywhere. Dogs have been pooping and peeing because they had been abandoned, but no one was taking care of it. So the bank said, "No, we're not going to do it." My realtor actually went to the house and did the necessary stuff of getting the piping connected to say, "Hey, it can handle running water now." Meanwhile, the toilet was full of poop and pee. So when the guy got evicted, he broke into the house, and that's where you poop and pee, but you didn't have running water, so it was full of it. So before I even bought the house, I had to hire Roto-Rooter to come out at midnight in the sky to unclog and undrain all the tub, the toilet, the sink within the bathroom too, just to get it approved to buy. And then we got it, we renovated it, and that was my original house that I bought with my buddy.
That is the craziest story I've ever heard in my life, where a bank says, "Hey, we're not going to give you money to give back to us." That is wild. But it sounds like you had a good circle of people to like kind of support you through that journey.
No, absolutely. And then like my buddy that's from Dublin, where we were getting a little bit is like, a lot of how you were like kind of like, I look into it, like how you were raised and kind of how you were trained kind of says a lot about you later in life. Like, what is your story? How did you get here, Adam? And that's where I kind of started clicking to with me. Like, I grew up around my dad that was very like handy, and he could fix pretty much everything, especially when it comes to plumbing. Maybe not, electrical work wasn't his forte. And as I was renovating this, I had all kind of that insights. And my buddy that was from Dublin, he's like, stop, go with the drill. I'm like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" I go, "Hold the drill down and let it get some momentum. You stop, go like Pennzoil, you're not going to get anywhere, man." So it's just like, man, I'm yelling at my buddy, but he's never been trained. He's never been shown the right way when it comes to this type of like fixing something up. Like, yeah, he can move some trash and put it outside, but now we're getting to the next step of like kind of renovating, putting something together, and he just never had been shown that way. So then it's like, all right, your story's a little bit different. So now we're trying to mesh those cultures of like, this is what you're good at, this is what I'm good at, but also I need you to learn. And then it kind of just explains of like, hey, what his previous 18 years were. This wasn't in the agenda at any point.
So did that teaching your buddy how to like not do the stop go, but actually like let the screwdriver or the power drill build momentum to get the job done. What was that process like? Was it frustrating, or did you kind of like reassess it once you understood that his prior 18 plus years were different than your prior 18 plus years?
I think that can go into like the job I do right now with like AI. AI is huge, and people think they graduate. Yeah, you graduated with a law degree, but you're really at a second grade level when it comes to AI and understanding how to use it.
I was putting myself at kindergarten.
I don't know about that.
Bro, second grade compared to AI? I'm a genius. I had no idea.
Not you in particular.
Oh, I'm definitely not a second grade compared to AI. Like, I'm a toddler, like kindergarten.
Oh, I don't know about that, dude.
Oh, I do. I've seen AI. I've seen what it can do. It's terrifying. Long sip because he has no response there.
No, I mean, we have to get you the AI, and then we would know more. But it's just, you only know what you know, and you need to be shown many things, and some things are more relevant to other people. Some things I've never ever seen in regards to that. He was at a first grade level of learning how to get the momentum of the drill up, so then it would go into the wood and it would stick. Not having issues, how to put the bit together, just some basic things that you kind of take for granted. Well, that was my life; it wasn't his.
It's funny. When I first moved into this house, I had like this like little screwdriver. It's an electric screwdriver, and I moved in. My buddy's like, yeah, I'm going to get you a actual drill. I was like, I have one. I could put screws on here. He's like, no, I'm going to get you a drill. Because I didn't know any better, you know? So I didn't grow up like using like a lot of power tools. And he got me that thing. It was Ryobi. And right when I moved in, he came over. And not only did he give it to me, he showed me how to use it and like actually walk me through the process of how to do it. And now look at that little electric screwdriver. I'm like, all right, if I need to change like an outlet, I'll just use that. But everything else, like mason work, whatever, that thing helps. And so I think you have to have someone that's been there to kind of reach back and kind of help pull you forward. Your dad did that for you, and you did that for your buddy. I think that's fantastic, Adam.
It goes back to your experience too. Like you said, hey, when is it working all those hours at the Clippers? Like, did that really do anything that I do in my job here today? No, but it showed me like, hey, I could be back there, or I could be appreciative of the opportunity I have here today. So how am I going to win today? How am I going to take my best advantage at what I have in front of me, because I know what it looked like before, and like I don't want to go back there. And I mean, that goes to my dad's business. So that was 3 generations of a plumbing business that my brother or I did not take over. And I can remember my grandpa and my dad saying, you don't want to crawl underneath these houses. You don't want to do this. You don't want to get that phone call on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock saying water's pouring through my system. Like, I answered some of those phone calls, and you're right. Like, I don't want to do that here at the end of the day. So what's the outlet not to have that? Still trying to navigate it.
Hey, you're working though, because you don't want to go back. I like that Childish Gambino song. You know that? You know Childish Gambino? Childish Gambino's a rapper.
Okay.
His real name's Donald Glover. He was on a show called Community. You ever watch Community?
Not much TV over here.
Of course not. I'm just mortal. I watch TV sometimes. It happens. But he has a song called Not Going Back. And that's what your kind of whole grind and mindset is. Like, I'm not going back to it. Like, I moved out of Spencerville for a reason. Love the opportunities that I had there. Love growing up there. But now I want to move on to this next chapter of my life. And I think that's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think life's like a book. One chapter ends and you move on to the next chapter. You're in control of writing your story for the primary of like the most opportunities. So you write your story. What do you want the next chapter to be?
I think the next chapter is always the most fun because it's something that you plan. It's full of opportunity. You get into it. You're going to have some highs and you're going to have some lows. But as long as you keep writing, you're going to be able to progress in the story. And I think that's good.
It's how you respond back from whatever that scenario that went well or didn't go well.
I agree with you. So Adam, if you don't mind, we've talked about you long enough. If you don't mind.
I agree.
So get out of here. It's been a fantastic backstory, so thank you very much for sharing it. But you kind of alluded to one of 2 homework assignments that you had in preparing for this podcast, and that was choosing a date. Do you remember what date you chose that we're going with?
I believe it was March 25th of 2025 or March 21st, one of the 2 days. Or
I think it was, let me double check. I believe it was March 21st.
Okay, perfect.
So what's significant about March 21st, 2025?
So here in June, I just turned 36, so kind of a closing chapter before I finished the age of 35. It was the 7th real estate property that I bought. So it's kind of a goal is always to at least buy one per year, kind of keep on that average. It was my 7th. It was my latest one that was the closing date of that latest real estate adventure that I'm on.
So 7 done. Did you start this when you were 30, I guess?
No, the first one was with my buddy.
Yeah.
That was back in 2017. And obviously I didn't have a lot of money back then, so we bought the house and then we dumped a ton of cash into it. And then at that point was saving up for the next opportunity, which was in 2020 was the next one that I bought. And then since then, kind of want to control that time, you know? Time's like the most precious thing here at the end of the day. So how are you going to spend your time working for corporate America for, 40 straight years? Like, that wouldn't be ideal in my situation. So again, kind of a little bit of my exit strategy is the real estate side of the fence. Once I can get that up and going, and it makes sense, but don't have any plans for that anytime soon. Still enjoy what I do.
And so you had your 7th closing on March 21st, 2025.
Correct.
That is wild. How did you feel after you closed and kind of hit your goal of hitting at least, what was it, 1 per year?
All right, well, on to the next one.
On to the next one. I expect nothing less. It was like, cool, you proved to yourself that you could do it, and you're just going to keep going. I assume you already have the next one lined up.
It's getting the funds. Funds are getting a little bit low. There's only so much. You got to put 25% down on a rental property because you don't live there. So those can eat up into the cost, but that's what the motivation is at work. It's a commission job. So the more sales you make, the more you have over there. Hopefully the more people I've helped along the way too. And then it just returning, and I spend it back in that way. It's my form of shopping versus my wife. She likes to shop online. I like to shop houses to build that future.
I think shopping houses is a little more expensive than shopping online.
It is.
But hey,
it hasn't gotten any cheaper in Columbus.
I can't imagine it's gotten any cheaper. Adam, I think that's fantastic. Congratulations on your 7th closing so far. So we're going to cheers to that, brother.
Let's go.
So as you and I discussed, 3/21/2025, Lisa, bike brain entry. So what I'll have you do is I'll just have this read to yourself and explain what a bike brain is for those who have never heard about it before, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
All right, so here you go. So bike brains are mental tools that I use to help process the world around me. I try to do them every day of the week, except for on Sundays, where I give my brain a little bit of a break. Generally, they're broken down into one of three categories: mind, body, and spirit. Mind is about energy allocation and creating rooms for you to enter and spend that energy, be it the workout room, be it the real estate room, be it spend time in your dungeon room to perform your work. We all have these different rooms in our lives where we allocate mental energy to. The next is body. Body is about taking a 360 holistic approach to your own physical body. It's more than just the calories that you consume through right nutrition or the calories that you expend through exercise. It's also about the amount of sleep that you get, how you carry anxiety, your stress levels, and also about the people around you. And the last is spirit. Spirit is about diving in and reaching out. Diving in to figure out your own code of conduct to see how you operate in the world, be it a code of conduct that you got from your parents or one that you developed over time. And then reaching out to the world, understanding that you can't do this thing called life alone. And then there's a special category known as the Inosala. Inosala is all as one, but backwards. It considers mind, body, and spirit all working together to help you level up and really take yourself to the next level. So Adam, did you have a chance to read that?
Absolutely.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll just read this out loud and we can talk about it if that's all right with you.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So once again, this one was on March 21st, 2025. And this is an Inosala entry. And this is it. Plot to assess. As told in Can't Hurt Me, when David Goggins first attempted his record-breaking pull-up record, he failed. But this wasn't the first time he failed. He balanced his mind, body, and spirit, putting a theory he developed while in service into practice, the AAR. The After Action Report's purpose is to analyze an event or exercise to determine two important areas. The first, what went well during the event, and the second, what could be improved. The aim of the AAR is to use the details of 1 and 2 to update your code of conduct to be even better prepared for the next time you challenge yourself. When you write your plot of personal development, find ways to etch this theory of AAR into who you are. To properly do this, you have to create mental rooms to allocate energy to pros and works in progress, raise awareness to the body conditions that impacted your journey, both within and environmental, and use your spirit to sharpen your view of why you're doing your journey. Use the AAR tool to make the next phase of your journey better. So Adam, when I think about after action reports, I think about things that I've done and actually take time to assess them. One of my big things is like building a positive community in the gym, and you have to take risks to do that. And so a lot of my now good friends started out as strangers. So you go up to a person, have an interaction with them, right? And it's like, all right, that interaction didn't end well. Like for some reason they gave me like a weird look or just something felt off. And then I go into like this whole after action report. So I ask myself, were they having a tough day, right? And so instead of like criticizing like them, like, oh, they're just being standoffish, I try to put myself in their shoes. And I learned this lesson from, I guess, Dale Carnegie's book. Have you heard of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so my buddy Tanner, who appeared on this podcast, he bullied me into finishing the book. I got about 4 or 5 pages in, and I put it aside. But I was like, I'm going to finish this book, and I fulfilled that promise. Can I read to you one of my favorite quotes from that book?
Let's see it.
So this was from Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it says, instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. Let's try to figure out why they do what they do. There's a lot more profitable and intriguing than criticism, and it breeds sympathy, tolerance, and kindness. To know all is to forgive all. As Dr. Johnson said, God himself, sir, does not propose to judge a man until the end of his days. Why should you and I? And so when I started putting that kind of thought process into my after action reports, I'm like, instead of like leading with criticism and building a positive gym community, why not try to understand where they're coming from? Why not ask them what's going on in their lives? And since I've taken that approach, asking people like, what's your story? Or like, what's going on with you? Or you look like you're pretty tense today. It's led to a more positive them opening up, because once they do that, they realize that you aren't there to like judge their actions or judge what they're doing, but you're offering it to be an open ear. And now mind you, I'm not trying to solve their problems because 1, I don't think I'm smart enough to actually solve their problems, but 2, they honestly don't need me to. Sometimes people just need an open ear. You don't have to be the superhero to swoop in and save the day. Sometimes saving the day can just be as simple as just listening to what they're going through. And once they kind of like lower their guards and express vulnerability and just feel like they're being heard, they feel better, I feel better, and that whole experience ends in a +1. But something like that would not have happened without an after action report for me to actually step back from the situation that happened, proper allocate mental energy to that, add additional tools from things like how to win friends and influence people, and find ways to reapproach that and refine my code and my approach to like say, all right, that didn't work out. What can I do better? And so that's one of the reasons why that stands out to me. As you know, that's probably filled with typos. That's because like 3 days before I just had shoulder surgery, which is why I'm also in an arm sling. But I was like, we gotta keep the bike brain going. And apparently during that time in my life, post-surgery, I was like, people matter to me, but I am no good if I can't actually reach these people that I'm trying to reach. What good is any message I give if it's not presented in a way that's digestible? And something like the after action report can really help me do that. So Adam, what do you think about the after action report? You ever done anything like that?
No, I had no clue what that was going to be. Kind of wanted to be surprised too, so I could kind of take it in on the spot. David Goggins in the sales world. So sales is what I do, sell legal software. Been doing sales for now 11 years of my career, and David Goggins was, I would say, introduced me to a guy I highly regard as one of the best like influencers like ever from a sales director's point. David Kramer. I mean, he introduced it to us and the whole kind of organization of this guy that just pushes through anything and perseveres. And you think you have it so bad. Again, the grass isn't always greener, and kind of what he's dealt with and pushed through here at the end of the day. But then you're also asking, what makes people tick? What's your why? And that's what we used to say to also in ADP is, oh my gosh, I didn't even read that. I promise you that. And that's the thing. So I tried not to like. My wife and I come from a sales background, so it can be very competitive. We worked at ADP at one time. I know the lingo, she knows the lingo. I still know it to this day. And you try to keep it separate because, you know, we have different lives besides just work. And I would say I'm highly involved with work is my sport, and work is her have to do it. If she didn't have to do it, she wouldn't do it. So then it's just like, Trisha, that's my wife. I'm like, what's your why? Like, what are you working towards? And how are you going to hold yourself accountable to that? And that's the same thing every single day. But I think that really gets you to understand the people. And then once you understand the people they open up a little bit more. But then it's just kind of understanding like, oh, what's the game? Like, oh, I'm too busy. But it was just even on my family vacation here, my brother had to go through a pay toll. And he's like, oh, I really like your shirt. And he complimented her on something else. I go, Brent, that was really nice of you. Like, typically people, when they go through a toll booth in upper Michigan that we were in, here's the money, give me the money, and I'm on about my day. It's kind of like there's so much bullshit through the day. It's like people don't take the time. And I think COVID really hurt that adjustment. And there's a lot of people in life where maybe you were only in first grade, maybe you were in high school, maybe you missed your senior prom, maybe you missed this college graduation. So it affected people a lot different from learning or development. But then I also look at my wife and I'm like, what hurt her in that experience was the social interaction with other people. She is a sociable person. That's salespeople here at the end of the day. But like she looked forward to going to the office and connecting with that other individual, bouncing an idea, maybe collaborating. Me, I can just go into, hey, I'm going to the office, aka I'm going to my basement. And I can be fine with that too because I have a different why than at the end of the day. So it's just understanding what makes people tick, what's their goal, what their comfort is. And I would say I'm kind of, when I look at like how I was brought up and my family dynamic, I'm old school with new school. My parents are so old school and about everything they do, but I'm such a far gap. My mom, I think she had me when I was 36, and now she's 73, and I'm 36 here today. She will be 73 if I do the math right. But it's just like I can kind of incorporate a lot of different, because a lot of things have happened. My dad doesn't even know how to use a computer. And then you just look at like what people are accustomed to. What are they comfortable with? We didn't go out to eat a lot as growing up because my mom always cooked. They don't like to go to fancy places. My wife, she loves going to a fancy place. She loves to do her fake food blogging and saying, oh, this was like an A+, or this is that, or, you know, so on.
Well, I think it's important too. And I think part of Dale Carnegie's book quote, and he quoted Dr. Johnson's like, I think people, it's made so much easier in the age of social media. We are so quick to judge people. And he was like, well, God doesn't wait until someone is dead before you judge them. So what makes you think you're better than God by judging them right now? And it's like, believe in God, don't believe in God. It's like, you're still judging them right now. And sometimes you only see them in a snippet. So if I see someone in interaction with like the gym, right? I see them for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And I might even talk to them, just like witnessing like in between the sets, I see them engage in conversation. That's maybe a 30-second interaction. How is it fair for me to judge someone based off a 30-second interaction when I don't want someone to judge me for if I come off as incorrect or wrong or maybe cold in 30 seconds? if someone sees me as cold for 30 seconds, which is challenge accepted because I'm a very warm person, but if someone sees me as cold for 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, I was probably not even thinking about the interaction at all. I was probably thinking about something that's going on, maybe another friend's problems, maybe my own personal problems, or maybe a doctor's appointment and I'm fasting for it, so I don't have the energy to talk to people. Who knows what I'm thinking about? The thing is, though, like, that's just a 30-second blip. So why judge someone based on that? Like, we don't have the privilege to do that for someone. Like, we can't ultimately know what's going on with people. So I think taking the time to actually understand people, and I think David Goggins is like a great example. You look at David Goggins now, he's sitting there running marathons, but like he started out at 300 plus pounds. He had to lose all this weight to even qualify to take the BUDS training for the SEALs, or the BUDS test for SEALs. Like he had to go through his own like fire through the storm and like really go through hurricanes in life to really become who he is today. But you will never know his backstory unless you listen to his audiobook, which you're definitely going to do.
I agree.
And like you have to like understand where these people are coming from to really understand why they're the way that they are. And so like I know you love to work and everything. It's like I understand that, you know? And it's like I wonder like why Adam does that. Like start with why. And I know like more of your why now than I did before we even started this podcast. And I think it's respectable. I think it's respectable. I think it's admirable that you have that grind to keep going. So thank you for sharing that, man.
No, I think I mean, you're going to have that. I mean, you think, I work with a colleague, and the colleague's out of Mexico City. I mean, it's not the most, like, great interactions. Just, you know, you got a language barrier, and you got, like, different expectations. But, again, they come from a different culture. And she's like, Adam, it's redundant. She didn't even know the word redundant. She's trying to translate, and she's like, it's getting, like, over and over. I'm like, redundant. And she's like, yeah, it's getting monotonous. And I'm like, yeah, you got to find your why here at the end of the day. What keeps you going? And what's that routine that you get in? What's that process? You asked me like, hey, what are 3 or 4 things that you kind of do that kind of hold you to like goals or personal goals? And I look at your process. I heard your process the first time I met you in person. I was like, this guy has a process. He goes to the gym. He does this. It's like a routine. And I can remember the routine when I was in person meeting people face to face about payroll. It was kind of like, all right, here's my like walk up. And when I say walk up, like baseball, you have like a walk up song before you go up to the plate, and you go up to the plate and you get in your routine. You do the same thing with the plate or your batting gloves, whatever, before the pitch comes in. And that's your routine. That's what gets you in the comfort. That would get you in the zone. Mine at ADP, I would have like a little mint case, pop that mint in. All right, here we go. It's like game time. I'm going to go in and I'm going to understand the problems and I'm going to see if I can solve it. And if I can't solve it, I'm going to tell them, you need to do what you're doing. You don't need to switch, like whatever it is, because I think you give good advice, then eventually it can come back around eventually too.
So Adam, you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit. So I have to officially ask the question. I know you talked about like the baseball stuff. I never played baseball because it seems very difficult to hit a ball with a stick that's flying at you. But you kind of talk about the walk up and then the mints and everything. So I got to ask, what is a personal development tool that you use to help find your own best path forward?
It's kind of just that daily process. So it changed during COVID, like your process before to now what your process is here today. And again, I can remember meeting you for the first time. You're like, I go to the gym. I'm getting up at 4:30. I'm there at 4:30. I'm like, holy shit! Like I need to get to bed a little bit earlier. But like that process starts at the gym. And when you don't go to the gym, when I go to the gym, I try as consistently as possible. But I have other individuals that hold me accountable, because you're the easiest on yourself and you're the hardest on others. And you kind of alluded that to earlier about judging people in 30 seconds, like quick to pull the trigger on someone. But, you know, I was having a bad day. I had this, like, you know, I needed to treat myself here today. Like, okay, like we all have an excuse or justification of why that is. But you're trying to find that process of like that routine. And that routine is when I don't go to the gym in the morning and I got to sit in that chair for work for 10 straight hours that day. Now that's my own option of, you know, working that much. Like it changes the whole tone for the day. Like when I'm like, man, I'm getting no movement. I'm a relatively active social guy. Like that is my opportunity to go in there, kind of wear myself out so then I can sit there and then I can feel good about myself at the end of the day. Whether that's like an intrinsic reward or something externally, it's a process of that routine. And like baseball's a perfect, like those guys are almost like a little too much process of the routine of the batting gloves after 1 pitch, 2 pitch, or going up in that walk-up song. But going back to it is like that at ADP, it was that mint. I would buy these stack of like blue and white mints at Sam's Club, and you get a whole bunch, pop one in before, and hey, I'm zoned in of how I can help you, or if I can help you here. This is my opportunity to make an impact for you and me. Like, what's better than everyone winning in this room? That's the way I would look at it. Today, it's going to the gym versus ADP. So at Thomson Reuters, I only spent so much time out in the field before COVID happened. And now it's going to the gym, coming back, cleaning yourself up, showering, and then walking down to the basement. It's kind of like my walk down song, but there's no song obviously playing. You log into the computer, then I have a routine. I'm checking the emails, and then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then, hey, here's what I have set for the day. It's that routine. And then, hey, Monday nights, the wife loves these 2 shows. Like, that is the night that we have 2 shows, watch very little TV unless it's sports. And then it's like, all right, Tuesday, she's not, maybe I need to do this and that. But it's that kind of consistent routine, and it's building off of every single day. We've all seen the meme on social media too, where the guy's digging and digging and digging. There's diamonds on the other side, and he just stopped like an inch short. It's like building off of yesterday, taking what you did yesterday, building off of it, and taking one step forward. Talk about it like a marathon, putting one step forward, one after another. Like, just achieving those things that you think you never had a chance of maybe doing. But also that comes to some of those things, like I was talking about process, but then you can also talk about accountability. Accountability is having that other person. You don't feel like going to the gym that day, but so-and-so and so-and-so, or one person's going to be there. They're going to give you shit, like friendly shit of like, hey, you weren't here. We got the workout in without you. It's just like you need that extra push. You need that accountability. But then at the same time, it needs to be measurable goals where you can be accountable. You can't just every single year like, well, we didn't get there, but that was never the specific goal. It was just to do better this year. Well, what's better to you? Better to you and better to someone else could be completely different.
So you said a lot there, and I bet you can't guess my first question I'm going to ask you.
Absolutely not.
You want to try? It's going to be hilarious, because I know you're not going to get it right.
Process.
Oh, absolutely not. What 2 shows you watched on Monday night?
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. So right now, it's the McBee's show, and I've never seen the McBee's show. It's basically about this family farm, so generational wealth. The dad has then passed it on to his kids. The dad's a complete shit show. He cheated on his wife, and now he's like dating a whole bunch of different women at the age of 60, 58 or something. And he's got these kids, and these kids, 24, 28, 26, and they're setting up, the family farm. But they've also been handed a lot of opportunities. They've also been put in some bad positions too. So you got a little bit of the business and reality, and just over the top, a little drama. My wife loves a little bit.
Is this
drama.
like a real show or scripted drama?
No, it's a real show.
Oh, okay, reality TV.
It just came out we watched our first episode probably 2 or 3 months ago.
Don't judge me here and watch too much reality TV.
I used to be a junkie when I was younger about that, but no time for that.
Yeah, me too.
And then it's below deck. My wife grew up.
Oh, we're cheersing that. What's your wife's name?
What's
your wife's name again?
Trisha.
Trisha, Below Deck, all day.
Gosh.
I love it. That's a great. Oh, okay. Come on, that's one worth watching.
I never watched that.
What season are you guys on? We're getting so sidetracked, so we can't go too far down this rabbit hole. But
we're on the latest season. We watch it every single Monday night. Now we were on vacation last week, so we watched Sunday night when we got back at midnight, midnight or 1 a.m.
You're current.
So we missed Monday, so we're not up to date with last night's episode.
Oh, I haven't watched it since Captain Lee left. So
gosh, Captain Lee, yeah.
Well, you see that judgment? That's how I know you like Below Deck. You're like, boy, you had a visceral reaction there. Captain Lee is awesome.
It's just a lot of drama. But my wife grew up on a boat. It brings up a lot of memories, and it's kind of sentimental. A lot of family activities on her side. I'm not a huge water guy for a number of reasons.
What's the number one reason?
I got earaches all the time as a kid from swimming. So then I don't want my head underneath water. I don't want to swim. I don't like my
earplugs. Old school, new school. Old school, new technology. What'd you say?
They didn't work. They didn't work.
No, when was the last time you tried? What if you're just digging at that wall and the other side is diamonds and freedom? But it's swimming.
Those medical bills, they add up real quick. So I'm just trying to be proactive instead of reactive.
I respect that, actually. All right, so back to relevant things. First off, Below Deck's a great show, but back to relevant things that you talked about. So you're kind of developing this framework, kind of like the daily process, right? The first is what is a routine? The second is who's holding you accountable? And the third is how do you measure goals? Does that sound about right so far?
Taking action too, measuring goals, because if you're saying, hey, who's holding you accountable? What are they holding you accountable? You also speak to whatever that circle is. Like, your circle could be 2 people, it could be 1 person, but does someone know what that is? And can they check on you? Like, hey, like, where are we at with it? Like, hey, and you can make it fun, you can make it playful. But learning at ADP, it was always measurable goals. And what does that process look like? Again, I'm in sports, so I always tell my wife too, is like, don't get caught up with like being stressed out. Like, enjoy the process too. No matter how difficult or how fun it can be, like, enjoy that process, because then once you're there and at the end, like, you may have to start all over. Like, you only got 2 seconds, 20 seconds, 2 days to enjoy it. Like, you gotta enjoy it a little bit more about that. And then what does success look like for you every single day?
See, I like that. So measuring goals actually give you like metrics to hit. And so although there might be some days, like say the goal is hitting 100%, even if you hit 80%, that doesn't mean the whole day is thrown away. That just means you hit 80%. And then the next day you can finish off that 20% and then work on the next part. Because I think a lot of people, 1, either don't have goals, or 2, shoot themselves in the foot if they don't actually hit 100% of their completion. And the best example of that is like New Year's resolution people going to the gym. They're like, we're going to go to the gym 6 days a week. And I'm like, cool. You started at 0 days. Maybe just start with like 3 days. Like, no, we're going up to 6 days a week. I'm like, all right. And so then they'll go to 5 days a week. And then they don't go on the 6th day and they like throw themselves on the floor and they're like, I'm a failure. I'm like, 5 days is still a lot more than you did before the new year rang. So I love the fact that you have the how do you measure your goals, and it's not like a pass-fail scenario.
I would say it also, I hear about or read about like people that go on a diet, and then once they're done with the diet, like they just kind of go completely back, if not more, because they got over that hump and now they're going to treat themselves every single day afterwards. I mentor a lot of people at my job because I used to be a sales manager, and then I was like, I just care a little bit more than other people. I'm pretty competitive. So, hey, this isn't my cup of tea about being down your throat about where we at. Like, what, like, just people have a different like why and a different motor to it. And I said to Noah Myers, I was like, Noah, what does success look like for you today? You didn't sell a deal. How can you feel good about today? How can you feel good about your relationship with others? How can you feel good about your workout week? Whatever. What is that like? And you got to get the small wins to add up to the big wins. And I was like, setting a meeting with this opportunity that like, that's a huge win if you wanted to set 1 meeting, or is it 2 meetings here a day? Like, what does the success today look like for you? And I don't want you to look at like, oh, I closed the deal. Like, that's obvious at this point, but like those things are going to build up to like that bigger vision.
Dude, I think it's one, thank you for being the type of mentor to your people. I think a lot of people will say, oh, you didn't get X done, then you failed the day. And not only does that discourage people, but like, it doesn't help the organization as a whole. I think if you find, like what you said, like small wins add up to big wins, it's like if you find something to be proud of for that day, because chances are like they're just completely slacking off. Or they're not just completely slacking off. Like if they're actually trying to do things and for some reason it's not panning out the way that they wanted to that day, it's like, why jump down their throat? Like stoicism is like one of my other favorite things by Ryan Holiday. One of the biggest principles is like energy allocation to the things that you can control and let go of the rest. So long as you're doing everything that you can in your control, it's like sometimes fate's going to be on your side, sometimes fate's not going to be on your side. But so long as you're focusing on the things that you can control and letting go of the rest, it's like, why am I going to be upset with you? You're doing everything that you can. Just because something like, I don't know, a pandemic happened and the business is slowing down, that doesn't mean it's your fault. Because guess what? Unless you work in some lab that we don't know about, or wherever people's conspiracies about COVID happen, you didn't cause COVID. All you can do is just like focus on the things you can control and let go of the rest. And I think a lot of people don't do that. So I think that's fantastic that you do that.
But I even think about it goes back to my management days, like coaching. So like coaching, I said I'm old school, mix a little bit of new school. Old school of me, I'll yell at you. Like that's how you're raised. That's what like motivated me back in the day. Is like I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to get yelled at. But like, I wouldn't say that works nowadays. When you yell at something, people can shut down, and like, you have every right to shut down too. So now it's like, how can we get that motivation out of you? And it's great to see it from different leaders of how they actually pull like the best version of that person. And again, but it's coming back to the why, like what makes that person tick. It's having that conversation. It's caring about others and understanding it. And you got to have those conversations and understand any of that.
So the question is, why haven't you finished How to Win Friends and Influence People yet?
I'm not a huge book guy.
I audiobook that. Like full disclosure, Tanner, if you're listening to this, I mean, we both know I didn't read the physical book of this. I audiobooked it, so I got knowledge of it, and we referenced it here, so that counts for something.
It sounds like I have 2 books already to read here after today.
You do?
Which I have, I believe, 2 that I paid for that I haven't actually downloaded yet.
You got 2 credits to use.
Yep.
All right, so kind of going back to what we've talked about so far, as far as like how you approach personal development. Am I saying that in the right order? As far as like, what is the routine? So first, discover what the routine is. The second is like, who holds you accountable? The third is how do you measure your goals? And the fourth, how do you take action? Am I saying that in the right order?
I would say, I was even thinking about that on the walk here. Like, what is the technical order? I think they're all intertwined with each other.
Like a nice little circle.
And you could go from this step to that step. If you never take action, what is your process? There is no process at the day. So like you got to put it into process. You can't wait till all the stars align, because all the stars may never align. And then maybe a different phase in your life where it doesn't make sense. So you never took the action. You never created the routine. I'd say, like when people ask me, hey, Adam, they asked me to be in a call at work, and how did you get this? Or how do you do this success? And it's like, it's not just one answer. It's like reading the room. Like, what is the situation? What is their why? And I can't tell you, because everyone's why is completely different. So now, like, this person cared about that. This person didn't care about this. Like, it's a completely different approach to make it a win-win for everyone. So it's just like, does it have a flow that you gave it to it? I like that flow, but I wouldn't say that's the exact flow for the next person too.
And that's what I was going to ask you, and that kind of dovetails into the next question. So like if someone were looking to kind of start these 4 steps that we were talking about, like how would you go about telling them how to do it?
When I think about what got me over the edge is your surroundings. I heard it, and I don't know where, I don't know who to give it credit. You're an average of the people you hang out with. So if you think you consider yourself the very best, well, like, who's pushing you? Like, you don't have anyone pushing you out here at the end of the day. But you think about, like, man, my friend Ricky Bobby, I'm making up names, like, he is the best at this. Like, I need to be like him. Like, that's pushing you a little bit.
Ricky Bobby, huh? Talladega Nights call back there.
And I'm not even a movie guy.
He's not a TV show guy. He watches Below Deck. He's not a movie guy. But yeah, he quotes Talladega Nights. Well done, sir. Well done. So I think it's true that you are like a reflection of the like average of the people around you. And I think kind of like paying attention to that, raising awareness of that is key. If your 4 closest friends are just like slacking off, not really pushing themselves, chances are you're not going to be unique in that group as a person that's pushing. So what do you do if you find yourself in a group of people that aren't necessarily doing the same things that you want to do in the future? Do you abandon them completely, or do you kind of find new people to hang out with? Like, how do you approach that?
I'd say it's a different clique. Here's your person that you want to go to a ball game with. Here's your person that you like to do this activity. Here's the person that you like to talk about work goals. Here's the person that you just talk about family, or maybe it is family. Like, I talk to my family about what I do at my job. They have no clue at the end of the day. My brother doesn't want to ever be in sales, has no career motivation in regards to that. Sales is completely different. And then my sister owns a Pilates studio, so we can connect on the business aspect of things. Or she uses ADP, so I know that too when she needs help. But like, then, it's a different world. People don't know what you do. Like, hey, Danny, you're general counsel at Root Insurance. Like, what does that mean?
Deputy General Counsel, unless I've gotten promoted before this episode premieres. Just Deputy General Counsel.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
Deputy,
and that is my apologies right there.
Yeah, why are you apologizing, man? Who knows? There's like multiple types of general counsel in the company. It's not necessarily the most fascinating element of discussion or my life.
And I think too, like, what I've learned, titles, it means something to this organization. It means something completely different. But obviously, it's like people just don't understand. So then you connect with people that understand maybe some of your work life. You connect with people that understand some of the hobbies or interests that you're in. You connect with people that now I've met through my wife, and they're friends with her, so now I'm friends with them, like kind of married into the friend situation. So how am I connecting with them? It's like, what's that common interest? What's that common why? To have the conversation instead of, not being able to connect with anyone. Like, what are you gaining at the end of the day?
And I think it's important when I wrote down different people for different whys. Like, I assume you don't know what any of this is, right?
I do not. And
yeah.
I said at the very beginning, if you heard me, I said, is that in the background?
Yeah.
And then you said yes. And I said, there's a why behind that.
There is.
In my mind.
Because I know a lot of people will not be able to connect something like personal development to anime at all. And those are just things from anime. Do you know what anime means?
Absolutely. I've definitely seen, those are some of the most artistic people I've ever seen that has an interest. You have the anime books. People are drawing it from scratch, or it's kind of like coloring books at times too.
Wait, like Japanese animation, like the cartoons?
Yeah. I went to Australia too, so Japanese animation was over there too.
Let's go.
Getting a little bit with the culture. It means something to them. Sports means something to me. Sports means nothing to someone else,
That I'm that someone else. I I know that football happens with college on Saturdays most of the time.
Most days.
Is that worth a fist? Oh, give me a fist bump for that. Let's
absolutely,
go.
absolutely.
Let's go. And so I think it's important to like have different whys in your life. Like I'll talk nerd stuff a lot with anime stuff. Then I'll talk about like David Goggins stuff with other people, and then like Daily Stoic or Simon Sinek start with why, or even Bourbon. Like that is not going to be one person in your life that's going to fit everything. And that's okay. I think that's the beauty of life. Like you have different pockets for different reasons, and kind of knowing those people, different people for different whys, helps you become a more well-rounded person. And I think that's great to kind of have as a piece of advice.
No, it's that diversity, and you're well diverse because you're going from anime, you're going to bourbon, you're going to David Goggins. You're connecting on a lot of fronts to a lot of different people. But then I think that's what also increases just us of what we know and kind of how the world ticks and the capabilities that are out there. Because when you're doing the same thing and everyone else around you is doing the same thing, you don't know when you mix this idea with that idea. And that's why people kind of want to return to the office, is that collaboration that's missing. But then also is that efficiency that people are saying, well, I got to drive. I mean, that doesn't make sense to take an hour out of my day. So you got a little bit of a tug and pull here right now too.
I think it's tough, but I think with like tools like what you discussed, definitely will help people kind of stay accountable. So how do you add different people for different whys? How do you add this into your 4-step framework? Is this step number 5, or is it just like its own separate thing?
I would say that's just understanding people too.
I dig that. As far as who holds you accountable.
And then, yeah, I mean, I'm not telling everyone, like, my sales goal doesn't mean anything, or my work goal, my personal goal, or my real estate goals. People they don't own a house. Like, you think they care about real estate? No, I mean, they believe in renting or whatever that situation is. So it's a different why. So then it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But you just try to work on all aspects here at the end of the day to be that better person and to give back ultimately too, because you didn't get yourself here. There's people along the way, and we could give many shout outs. You could give many shout outs of how you are here today. There's other people that pushed you along that said, Dan, you got to do this, or Dan, here, let me help you with this. And now you're like, oh, I'm so thankful for them. And it's always hard to show like how thankful for you are, but it sticks with you, later in life.
And I think gratitude is one of those big things that people have to have in general. It's like, no, I didn't get here alone. Honestly, a podcast like this wouldn't exist without people like you kind of stepping up to the plate to actually come on and talk about things that make them pursue their goals and how they stick to those goals. And so I love the fact that people are willing to do that, and I'm super appreciative of that. So thank you very much, Adam, for doing that. I do appreciate you and appreciate everyone that's been on and ideally will come on to just kind of like help spread their own message about personal development, because I think it's fantastic and they're great stories, and I always learn a crap ton. I've learned a lot from this already. And so I thank you for sharing what you do on a day-to-day basis.
No, I think about it here. What before, if you weren't doing this would have never happened. Other people's stories wouldn't have got out there. And that's why people that are willing to make that risk, and some people are very aggressive on that on maybe social media where they feel comfortable. This is a different version of it. And this is definitely a modern way. And it's definitely caught people's attention. And if it impacts 1 a day or 2 a day, it's going towards that progress and towards that, that next goal too.
I'll tell you, it's already impacting at least one, me. And I appreciate that.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. So Adam, as you're winding up here, there's a big piece of homework that you have right now, and I'm going to call in this chip in about 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these different steps that you kind of have, but what we need is a name for this tool that you've created here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so go ahead and take about it as I kind of recap these steps. Start with you.
Yep.
All right, so Adam recommends these steps, and they're in no particular order. You can hop in at any step, so long as you incorporate all 4 of them. One of the first considerations is to figure out what the routine is. The second consideration is finding out who holds you accountable. And part of that is knowing that different people fit different whys in your life. The third consideration is, how do you measure goals? 100% is very hard to achieve every day, but does that mean that 80% is failure? Not likely. So give yourself grace in how you measure your goals. And the last and fourth consideration is, what do you do to take action? A plan is just a plan. Raising awareness is something that has to be done. It in itself is not taking action. So how do you plan to take action? So Adam, you've had about 35 seconds to think of a name for these 4 steps. What you got for me?
What's your why? I mean, that's the first thing that comes into mind. I would think of an acronym for each of those like letters of what it spells out if I could get something. So I was thinking about that a little bit on the way of, they don't go in a particular order. You've kind of really articulated a very good order in my opinion. Maybe what's that acronym here at the end of the day? But I mean, it's why. It's like, what's the why? And I think that's the why behind the why right there, is those kind of steps along the way.
The why behind the why. I dig that. And it's also different enough where we won't get copyright struck by Simon Sinek. That start with why. That's right, Mr. Sinek. This is not start with why. It is the why behind the why. So Adam, just in closing, do you have anything you want to say to the people?
No, I appreciate the opportunity. I think what you're doing here is creative. It's also stepping out of some people's comfort box. I think this is great. Excited to see where it goes, and I think you took action. You took action. There could have been a perfect time, and we could have said, "Hey, Dan, this would have been best in 2026 because of the AI algorithm, and it says this and that." But you dove into it, and hearing what you did on the very first podcast to what you're doing here today, you dove into it, you embraced it. And you're taking your own action plan after every single episode, after every single editing adventure that you have after these episodes. You're learning from it, you're growing from it, and you're building off of each of those days. And if I could say anything, that's how we should be every single day, is just building off of each day and getting better and better, putting one step in front of the other one.
And I'll tell you, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate people like you just coming in and taking a chance. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, I'll just hop on into a podcast," and so I appreciate you. And you're coming back, right?
Whenever you're running out of pitchers in the bullpen, I told you, even though you're not a sports analogy guy, I was like, whenever you run out of pitchers, yeah, give me that call, and you're like, "We're ready to go, Adam." Whenever you need me, I'm always happy to help.
He referenced the fact that I'm not a sports person. I still have no idea what pitchers in the bullpen mean. What's a bullpen? What is it?
It's where the guys get warmed up to go into the game, because the guy that started the game, he needs to come out. So we need to get someone in there fresh. So
Yeah.
they warm up. That guy didn't do well, or he did well, and so now you're kind of running out of pitchers. You're like, all right, we need this guy to come in. AKA, we need Adam. All right, we need a body.
And I just don't understand why the whole team isn't just pitchers, but so I'm not a sports person. But Adam, thank you for just stepping up to the plate. How about that?
Let's go.
Dude, that's a great name for your tool, stepping up to the plate.
You know it better than me.
How about that?
I think it looks good.
Stepping up to the plate. That way we won't get sued by Simon Sinek. I dig that. Stepping up to the plate. And one last time for the stepping up to the plate tool. Number 1, what is your routine? Number 2, who holds you accountable? Number 3, how do you measure goals? And number 4, what do you do to take action? Adam, you've been fantastic, brother. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to next time, all right?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, everyone. We'll see you later. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching and listening to today's episode. Chances are you're looking to embark on your own personal development journey. I'm not going to lie to you. True personal development is hard, and it's supposed to be hard. That's because you're not only changing who you are, but how you operate. The aim of this podcast is to give you a community of people that are striving to do the same. So like and subscribe to the channel, but more importantly, comment below on how you plan on using today's tool to find your own best path forward. We'll see you next time.